Hey everybody, it's Kenya, and this is the Thank You for Saying No podcast, where we find meaning in life's unexpected turns. So we want to hear from all the listeners. Submit your own Thank You for Saying No moment and how it impacted your life in a great way. All the submissions will be part of a drawing to win some exclusive Thank You for Saying No merch. You can find the link in the description where you can submit your stories. It's also linked in our bio on Instagram at Thank You for Saying No. You can, of course, respond anonymously, but if you leave your name and your Instagram, we can give you a little shout out. Today's Thank You for Saying No submission is from Victoria. Her Instagram is @toldbyvictoria_, and you can also find her at Feel Your Feelings with a Z pod. And she said, when I was a senior in high school, my parents pulled me out of school randomly. It was a shocker to 17-year-old me because I didn't want to keep moving. That was my 7th school overall at that point. We were dealing with some financial issues and had to move out of town to live with relatives. I ended up being enrolled in another school that I graduated from with honors. To answer your question, I'm grateful that my mom told me no when I asked if I could live with our close relatives in Houston instead of moving to Dallas. The way I was raised was not to get too comfortable, period, because anything can happen and change. I'm glad she reminded me of that because I'm constantly finding myself navigating uncomfortable situations, which makes me more resilient to life's changes. Victoria, I love this Thank You for Saying No story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. It's really awesome how even though you didn't want to move, you managed to make the best of the situation school-wise and graduate with honors. That's incredible. This is really a testament to your strength and your ability to turn unexpected situations around. And I really commend your perspective on being resilient to life's changes. It's a beautiful thing to find a way to be grateful through the hard times. The growing pains make us stronger, and your story and your perspective really inspires me, and I know it'll inspire other people too. With that, let's get started. JD, hey, Justin Davis.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Thank You for Saying No podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's so exciting.
It's a super dope set.
Thank you.
Very fancy. This was not me when I first started out, so good for you. This was like year 2 for me.
Yeah.
So
shout out to Petty Cash Studios.
You should be proud.
We love it here.
Yeah.
So for the listeners at home, it's been really aligned to have you on the show today.
Yeah.
I found you through an Instagram post about self-insight.
Oh, wow.
And that led me to find your podcast.
Okay.
And then I checked it out and I was like, we have to have him on the show.
Wow. So the algorithm does work.
The algorithm works
okay,
sometimes.
Cool. That's how I'm here. I made it. Awesome.
Sometimes the algorithm is kind of weird though. I have to say, I'm like, I don't think this is what I'm looking for.
I got to either stop scrolling on certain stuff or scroll on other stuff. One or the other.
But so I reached out, we connected, and now you're here.
And now I'm here.
And that's just so awesome. So for the listeners at home who are like, should I follow up? Should I reach out about that job? This is your sign to do it.
Yeah. 100%.
This is your sign. And if it doesn't work out, we will have you on the show to talk about it.
Yeah. I actually told my wife, we talked a couple weeks ago about where I was going for this. And she's like, who's Kenya? And I'm like, I don't know. She's like, how did you get on? And whatever. I said, she reached out and, she's like, that's one thing I really admire about you is that you always say yes to people. But I know how it is. I know when I first started, like part of my hesitation and a little bit of anxiety was like just asking people to come on my show. And so many people were so like, oh my God, of course. Like, let me know. And I was shocked. But so, yeah, I'm happy to be here and happy to help.
Yeah. So just so you know a little about me, I'm an attorney. By day. I'm a podcaster by night. I started this podcast really looking for my own inspiration in a time where I was getting a lot of rejections and wanting to just get to the place where one day I'd be saying, thank you for saying no.
Yeah.
And so that inspired this whole thing. And then 6 months later, here we are.
Yeah.
So
great name, by the way.
Thank
for
you.
your podcast.
Thank
Beautiful
you.
name. I love how you flipped the rejection and turned it into redirection.
Yeah, that's
great.
exactly it. So for the listeners who don't know JD, he is a multi-talented individual who is making waves in the entertainment industry. He is a model and a podcast host himself. He hosts a podcast called Who Can Relate.
Yep.
He has been on the Red Table Talk with his wife.
Yeah.
And they talked about trauma bonds, which I thought was really, we'll get to this later, actually, how I felt about it.
Sure.
And I felt good about it, just not bad.
So did I.
But it was just really beautiful. And very real how you both got together in front of each other.
Thank you.
I really admired that.
I appreciate it. It was a really interesting experience. I think, that's such a sensitive topic as the trauma bonds. And I was kind of familiar with it. My wife was not. So, just some last minute research on it. But the beautiful thing about that experience was Jada's team is just on it. I mean, we had like 6 pre-calls. I mean, it wasn't just like,
you just show up.
Hey, can you come on? And we show up and then we just roll. So we felt really comfortable. It was a safe space. Everyone there has such a beautiful energy. And at a certain point, I don't know when, more probably for me than my wife, who's later admitted she almost fainted on set. Bless her heart. She was so nervous. About 10 minutes in, you forget there's, 97 cameras rolling and there's a million lights and you're sitting across Jada Pinkett Smith. But it's a testament to them and how well oiled that machine is. I know they've recently ended, but someone will pick them up and they'll continue. But it was such a moment, a beautiful moment.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So this episode today is going to be a little different for the listeners. We are going to really...
Different than the Red Table Talk or different?
Different than our previous episodes.
For sure.
Yeah. And our focus is really going to be relationships and no's. Okay. So I think it's going to be a really beautiful episode today. Your story is so inspiring to me and your experience is very close to my life right now. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. So I want to talk about some of your no moments, the lessons you've learned.
Sure. And
the healing process through it all. So.
Okay. This is kind of Red Table Talk.
We have some red.
Exactly.
Checker table talk.
It's all good. All right, perfect.
So, and I want to start by saying, again, I really admire your vulnerability and your ability to be super honest about really tough times. I find that to be very brave and courageous.
Thank you.
Truly, though, I like seriously mean that.
Yeah.
And the value in connecting through pain for people, for listening at home, is, I think, a really beautiful thing that as humans, we all get to connect and we all have related and shared experiences.
Yeah.
But it's even more magical, the healing, the connecting through the healing.
Right.
So
it's a great way to put it.
We're going to do both today.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
So I heard you open up about a pretty major no moment in your life when you were young regarding your mom.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Wow. All right. Here we go. So when I was 16, 17 years old, I guess a little bit more background. So born and raised in Chicago and raised by a single mother. Dad was in and out, I would say 98% out. I'll give him his 2%. And, my mom was everything to me. She was superwoman. She could do no wrong. She was my hero. Just meant the world to me. My first love as well. And so I bring all that context in because 16, 17, to your question, very pivotal moments for me and my childhood trauma, teenage year trauma. I guess it wasn't a child. And basically we had a moment where her boyfriend at the time, who was a couple months in, so very little history, him and I just did not get along, like, at all. I was very protective of my mom and I was like, you deserve so much better. Like, why can't you see that?
Yeah.
And him and I were arguing back and forth this one particular night, and basically left my mom with an ultimatum, like, it's either me or JD. And in front of me, in front of her, and she chose him over me in front of me. And at that time, like, in that specific moment, it didn't register. Like, I was processing. I was in shock, number one. But I was like, there's no way she just did that in front of me, right? But, the easiest emotion to show is anger. So initially I'm angry and I go up in my room and I'm, furious. But then, like, a couple of days went by and she was still sticking with how she felt. And I remember one of her reasons is, well, you're going to be 18. You're going to move out anyway. And I'm like, I didn't have a plan for that. Like, I thought this was
I'm still a kid.
my home. Yeah. Like, do I have an expiration date, like, that I know about? And so it was tough. And it took me years, like over a decade of time and healing and therapy. and to really, not so much move on or not so much forget, but really to forgive.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that more. Yeah. But before we get to the forgiveness, how did that moment shape you after that and affect the relationships you had after that?
For just a very layman's terms way to explain it, now I realize in hindsight it ruined me. I mean, it wrecked me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, no woman after that stood a chance with me. No girlfriend. I couldn't trust people. Very protective, me first. I'll never get hurt. I may hurt you, but oh well. At least I'm not hurting. It was
that from brutal.
Yeah, it was horrible. But in that moment, I didn't realize it. My reference point was what it was, which I'm such a believer in reference point. My mom abandoned me after my dad had already abandoned me. So I'm like, why is this random girl gonna, why can I trust her? How can I trust her if my parents abandoned me? So it just created this great wall of Justin, if you will. And no one stood a chance. And so it wrecked me. And, but what's sad, throughout those years, and again, now in hindsight, I had no clue in that moment what I was doing, because I was so, I don't fear commitment, but I fear wasting my time. Like, this was my mentality back then. Yeah. I want to commit to someone because I want that guarantee. I want that safety net. But I fear wasting my time, because what happens if it doesn't work out? Then I'm back to where I started, and so on and so forth. So just back to your question, it ruined me.
Yeah.
Totally.
So in my experience, I can relate to the Great Wall of Kenya.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm being super honest, probably still is up.
Sure. Yeah, there's bricks up there for me too, yeah.
But yeah, going into relationships with walls doesn't work. Like, no. Even the most casual of them does not, it just doesn't work. Yeah.
And even if it does work, it's temporary. And that's what I had to figure out, right? Because I'm like, I got these up, and I always said I'm like the best bouncer of any club. I'm always next to the exit door in relationships. I'm like, just in case it pops off, I'm ready. Yeah. I'm the first one out. But it works temporarily, and it creates this, at the moment, you think it's a security net. It's like a control mechanism, but in reality, it's a false sense of security. So come to find out.
Yeah. And for me, it affects the people that I choose.
Yeah.
So on its face, it looks like it's them. It's like, well, they did this, they did that. But I'm choosing people who maybe subconsciously I know it's not going to work out because I don't want it to.
Yeah. It's very important you said it, because it's a lot of subconscious, right? A lot of what we do is subconscious. I think 90% of what we do is subconscious, which is scary.
Yeah, scary.
But yeah, it's a lot of that. And again, you don't realize it, at least for me, until failed relationship after failed relationship. And at one point it was like, I'm always pointing the finger, like to your point, at everyone else. And luckily in my last relationship, I was, for the first time ever, pointing the finger at me. And it was a hard look in the mirror.
So what made you decide to do that? Like, what made you, was there a specific moment where you were like, I need to start healing. I can't just keep being this wall and guarded person.
February 2017.
Oh,
that was my
date.
moment. Yeah. Oh yeah. It was my self-intervention. It was the official end of my last relationship. We had been like really rocky leading up to it. But I just had this moment of like, what the F? What is happening? Yeah. I know what I want, and I'm not getting it. I'm frustrated as all hell. I'm at the time I thought I was doing the work. Wasn't.
What were you doing that made you think you were doing?
I was in therapy, and probably it when it comes to the work. I would say I wasn't listening to podcasts. I wasn't reading books. And if I was talking to people, and they were good people, it just was like me venting more so than like listening.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even if it was just to reply, not to understand. Because I had that control mechanism, right? Like, I have to figure this out. I have to count on me. I have to trust me. So February 2017, this intervention came. And I remember having a conversation with my therapist at the time. And I said, look, this is what I want, and I don't know how to get it. And I thought I had it figured out, and I clearly don't. So what do I have to do? And he said something that really resonated with me, and obviously it's still fresh in my mind today, some 6 years later. He said, I've known you. At the time, he had known me since I was 16, so for 14 years.
Wow.
At that time. And he's like, I love you like a son. Like, I really do. I've seen you through it all. And he said, but the one thing you're so good at is constantly being 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, the only way you're going to get what you want is actually being both feet in. And he goes, in reality, I know what you're thinking. Like, well, what if it doesn't work? What if I waste my time?
I'm like,
you're
so
like
stressed.
taking a deep breath already, right?
2 feet in,
yeah.
what?
What does that look like? What happens and what if? And you go down the rabbit hole. And he said, it's still a win-win scenario. And he's like, the first win is the obvious if it works out. That's the clear and obvious win. But even if it doesn't work out, the win here is at least you are capable of being both feet in for the first time in your life. Like, let's stay here with this lesson. Let's embrace, let's be proud of ourselves for actually being both feet in. You've never done this before. We did it. Mm-hmm. Yes, it didn't work, but at least I know now I can do it if I had to moving forward down the road. It's like I use this analogy of a vase or a vase for the fancy people.
We're vase here, okay?
Oh, we're vase here? Okay, we're vase. So analogy with the vase is which is so fragile, right? And it's precious to you. And let's just say this vase represents your heart. And you're holding on to, you're gripping the hell out of this vase, right? And you've been this way since your dating, history. And at the time you think it's the right person comes into your life. And so at some point you have to hand this person your vase. And you're like, but what if they drop it? What if they break it? And what I've who else is taking care of this but me? And you're in your head about it. But you eventually let go and you give that person the vase. And let's just say that person drops the vase, God forbid, like worst case scenario. You were capable of at least giving this person that vase. Mm-hmm. And you can pick up the pieces. It's going to take time, but you can pick them back up and you can probably put them together better than what they were. And even if there's a couple scarring, right, and marks on there, and maybe it doesn't go back exactly as it was, originally, it's all part of your story. It's all part of your journey. And you're always going to remember these new reference points now that you can go off of and hopefully not make the same mistake twice or worst case 3 times, I guess. But it's like, it's the only way to, in my opinion, to truly receive what you want is to take that risk, whether it's handing someone your vase or being both feet in.
Yeah. My head is truly spinning.
It's all right. Take your time. Imagine me the last 6 years. So, yeah.
My mom is actually really, really brave at giving her vase, so to speak. Yeah, she loves being in love, and she'll go in 2 feet. She will give it her all. Wow. And I think that is not something that I have acquired from her at this time.
Yeah.
But when you said that, it made me think of my mom right away.
But when did she, I guess, at first become comfortable giving her vase to people?
That's a good question. So in my eyes, always. But in her eyes, it might, because I've only known her as long as I've lived.
Exactly.
So
I asked because part of that, back to my mom and that healing journey, part of my forgiveness journey and healing process with her was actually having her on my show. And we had, I mean, people don't know this, but I filmed for 3 hours. I just broke it up into 2 episodes. And my sole intention in that episode, in that time, was to get to know her. That's it. Just almost like an interviewer standpoint, like not her son. I just want to get to know you. And what I realized while getting to know her was her reference points of love, of childhood or lack thereof, of both. And so we got to a place and she didn't really know this, but I was running like therapy, psychological circles around her. Like I was putting her pieces together to her puzzle, but I was like healing. It was like, if I had this big vase, right, and someone was pouring water, I just felt like my vase was being filled up. And I was like, I feel so good. And I kept asking, kept digging. And we got to a place where I actually understood why she chose that man over me.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah.
And it was emotional, of course, and it was deep and it was heavy. But I was like, I get it now. And I almost felt not sympathy for her, but definitely empathy for her. Because I'm like, I feel so bad that you've never even experienced love and you thought that this could be it. So you're literally willing to sacrifice anything and anyone that could be in your way potentially for this. So in a way, it's beautiful, and it's like messed up way, I guess, if some people are looking at it like that, but it's beautiful nonetheless. And at least I know why she did what she did, right?
Yeah.
Like I can not justify it, but I can at least sleep at night and again have that empathy for her. But yeah,
it's not funny you said that, but ironic, because I was literally gonna say that same thing that you just said.
Oh,
so
wow. Yeah.
For me, in my toughest moments with my family, when the times where I feel like I've been hurt the most by them, by actions that they did, I've come to learn that the things they did had nothing to do with me.
Exactly.
It had nothing to do with me, and it had everything to do with them. And that doesn't make the pain go away.
No.
That doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make it right. But for me, that was the first step towards finding healing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, okay, great.
Right.
They did that because of this.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
But it was my first step in understanding what they did and being able to heal from it and not take it personal.
Right.
And then I had to move through the pain.
Yeah. Good for you. That makes me so happy, because so many people like don't even know how to begin that journey, let alone go down it and actually complete it.
Yeah.
So good for you for being here and being able to like say what you just said. Like that's some people's dream. Like little do you know, like that's so powerful.
Well, I think it's so beautiful that you had that conversation with your mom on your show. Like you presented it in a form of art, which is
it's kind of how I do things. But
what episode number is that?
It was in season 1.
Okay.
Towards the end. It's called Dear Mama, and then the second part is Dear Mama Part 2. But yeah, I mean, you know, we hugged it out after, and you know, we both cried a lot. And the feedback that I got from that episode was so moving and heartwarming. And you know, it was one of those episodes where, if you haven't already, I'm sure you will get them, where you realize, like in hindsight afterwards, at least when I'm editing, I'm like, this was bigger than me. Like I got so much from this, but this was bigger than me. Like there's so many other people who will benefit from this.
Yeah, that's how this episode is feeling.
Yeah.
Because I'm holding back tears since the beginning.
Oh, well, let it out.
In a beautiful way, though.
Yeah.
Like beautiful healing tears.
Yeah. I'll cry with you. Don't worry.
we cry here sometimes. So so you came to the realization that your mom made her decision because of her own experience, her own life experience.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah,
totally.
And that helped you also start your healing process.
Yeah. And mainly because, and this is not a disrespect to my mom, but mainly because I knew I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like one of my favorite sayings, and it's on my merch for my podcast and everything, but I always say, you repeat what you don't repair. So I knew, whether it's my dad, whether it's my mom, I didn't want to continue to repeat this. I wanted to repair it. I wanted to be the one to break this generation on both sides curse. And I have a daughter, and I'm like, I'll be damned if I just use excuses, especially in our time and day right now. As weird and crazy and beautiful as social media is, it can be used as a beautiful tool. And, you know, where we are right now, and this is, I don't know when this comes out, but here we are in May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. There's so much to our disposal for information, and most of it's free. This is free. This is free information. This is free game for people, to the point where when our parents were younger, you know, therapy was frowned upon. Therapy, you only went unless, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to therapy. It's like, you don't have to be crazy to go to therapy. It's just nice to feel validated and be heard and understood, and then to understand and heal, right? So I say all that because if we choose now, where we are, to not heal and not learn and not forgive, you're just ignorant. Like blatantly said, you're just an ignorant, selfish person that you could have all this to your disposal and you're choosing not to. So I'll be damned if my daughter, when she gets old enough to, you know, she's kind of there now, she's 15, you know, she's never going to have the sentence of like, my dad didn't try. Whether it's try with me, try with breaking this curse, or whatever the case is. Like, I will do everything I can to make sure I repair instead of repeat.
Wow.
Which is kind of just, I think, in my opinion, your responsibility as a parent.
Yeah.
You know, my dad struggles with that, actually. Like, he has this rule of like, he never calls. And we have a good relationship now. He never calls. I to this day, I called him like last week. Before that, I talked to him on February 4th, which is my birthday, and his is the 1st. And my wife's like, when was the last time you talked to your dad? I'm like, he doesn't call. You know that. She's like, I don't understand it. And his rule is, I'm your father. You should be calling me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I bring that up because I believe a father and a mother title is earned. It's not given. You can have a kid, but it's another thing to raise a kid and to be a part of their life. So, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on it.
I'm soaking it all up.
Yeah. So, you know.
What else helped you on your healing journey? Like, how did you get from, okay, I get it, to, okay, I forgive you?
Oh, man. Let go of my ego. Let go of my pride. Understanding that vulnerability is bravery. It's not weakness. Part of my brand identity with the podcast, with my consultations with people, as a coach, is normalizing vulnerability for men. It's like I'm the president of that club, and I'm honored, and I don't take it lightly because I don't know how you can have a deep rooted connection with someone, let alone a partner, without vulnerability. Like, if someone has an answer, please show me, because I would love to be wrong in this case. So yeah,
me too.
You know what I mean? Like, please just give me an example. I would love to see it. I'm a see it to believe it person. Just show me. I would love it. And there's a lot that goes into the vulnerability department, right? You got to use your discernment, right? I'm not just going to walk out here on Sunset Boulevard and open up to the person like I am to you, a stranger on the street, right? Understand what's a safe space, what's not. Understand, not to take things personal. And again, as a man, and I think we all struggle with this, is letting go your ego and your pride. There's a saying that says, love is the only space where the ego cannot exist. It's death to the ego is love. And so knowing that I wanted love, getting to a place where I even felt like I was willing and able to give love, but also deserve it, which was a whole years of work. Maybe another podcast another time, but all of these things, right? And I don't know. It just, like, again, that February 2017 day just clicked, and I'm so thankful it did. Yeah.
My sort of recipe for forgiveness is more so just feeling whatever it is, not pushing it or hiding it or running from it. Because my thing is, I don't want to deal with this, so I'm going to do all of these other things to keep myself busy.
Right.
Or I'm going to, I don't know, just not think about it.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that only works until it doesn't work. And then usually you like come crashing down way harder than if you just allowed the feelings to come and go.
I call it the build up to the blow up.
Yes.
It's the build up to the blow up. Or you keep shoving. Eventually that rug's like, surprise. Like, here we are, But also one more thing to add, because this is such a great question that you asked me, the last one. Part of what got me to my healing as well, especially with my parents, we have to understand that our parents did the best that they could. Most of the time, it was not enough, but that's okay. And that last part, that's okay part, took me over a year to accept, because I'm like, it's not okay. It's their responsibility. But I'm channeling my reference point of who I am as a father, and I know what I would do, and I'm comparing it to what they did or didn't do, right? But it's not fair. Different time, different day and age, different resources I mentioned earlier. So really, truly, like, embracing that, whether it's a mantra or just a daily reminder for you, your parents did the best they could. It wasn't enough, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Most of the time when trauma happens to us, it's not our fault. It's not my fault. At 6 years old, I witnessed physical abuse from my dad to my mom several times in my life. But it is my responsibility to heal from it.
Yeah.
Let's not use it as a crutch. Let's not use it as an excuse. Let's not show up to these relationships, and after a year into it, we're sitting there like, well, I'm sorry, but you know what I went through. It's like, but when did you go through that? And here we are now.
Yeah, I think it is not fair for me to hold other people to my own standards of how I would act in a situation.
Right.
Everyone is different, and everyone's circumstances is different when they walk through it. And that has been something that the people close to me remind me of, is that your way isn't the only right way, Kenya.
Yeah, right.
I'm like,
good for you to have those people in
sure?
your life, by the way. Yeah. It's a beautiful support team.
Yeah. So, healing is a process.
Mm-hmm.
Just like healed, I don't believe that's a word. If it's in the dictionary, it should be out.
That
word does not exist.
I 100% agree.
It's a process, right?
It is, yeah.
Triggers will come up. But the healing is in how we respond, is in our thought process after we're triggered.
Totally.
So can you give us an example of how you would react to a trigger before you found your healing, and then compare that to how you respond now?
Great question. And I'm only laughing because I have the perfect answer
for
this.
Good.
And I'm so happy I read this book recently. There's a book I really encourage everyone to get. I don't care where you are in your life. It's called Us. It's by Terrence Real. And in this book, one of the gems of the many that Terrence drops is this. When we're going through conflict or triggers, right, there are possibly 3 versions that show up. The first one is your inner wounded child, which we all know. It should be self-explanatory by now. I'll skip the second one for a good reason, and I'll come back to it. But the third one is the wise adult, which is what we strive to be. It's the responding, not reacting version of us, right? It's process, cool, calm, collected version of us. Like I've done the work version of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that back to that second one, the middle one, is called the adaptive child. The adaptive child is the you've molded and cobbled together in the absence of good parenting, in the absence of a good role model. So this adaptive child, for me, probably was created around the age of 6 or 7, when I knew I couldn't count on anyone. I couldn't depend on anyone. I grew up basically alone. My mom worked a lot of hours, different jobs. I raised myself, essentially. And this 6-year-old, 7-year-old version of JD stayed and stuck throughout this entire time. I'm 36 now. So I'm dealing with like Windows 95 and it's 2023. Mm-hmm. But when I'm triggered, Windows 95 JD comes up. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we've been here before. I know what to do. Take control, process. Okay, cool. Great wall adjustment come up and
Control Q,
and here we are. Yeah,
Control Q.
Yeah, like ASAP, right? And I'm like, bro, it's a new day now. I'm with my wife. This is a safe space. Like she loves me. She's not going to abandon me. Mm-hmm. I'm with my friend. I'm with my daughter. I'm at this job, whatever it is, right? But the adaptive child only knows one job, which is what you programmed it to become. And for me, it's protect at all costs. Mm-hmm. But in some moments, I don't need protection. I need understanding. Mm-hmm. I don't need protection. I need love. I don't need protection. I need healing, and so on and so forth. So to answer your question, the old version of me would adaptive child can I swear in here?
Yeah.
Oh, the shit out of it, right? The adaptive child would show up and like, I got it. Here we go. Windows 95 to the rescue. And now the wise adult version of me, the healing version of me, not the healed, the work version of me, the I think I understand this now, and even if I don't, I'm going to find out version of me shows up. The wise adult for the win.
What do you think? What is your thought process when you're triggered now? And that was a really good example, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
That was really good example. But what is your first thought now when you're triggered? Even if it's not a healing thought, but what is your first thought or your second thought?
I think the first thought is, and again, this is laughable because it's hindsight, right? Who knows what's happening in that moment? But right now, I would the wise adult answer would be, should I be taking this personal? First question to self. Is this something I need to be taking personal? Yeah. Does this have something to do more so with the person projecting, whether it's from insecurity or past reference points? Or is this actually something that I need to take responsibility and accountability for and work accordingly? I think the second question I would ask myself is, do I have the capacity to deal with this right now? We are, as superhuman as we are, we're still human. We're still human. We only have a certain amount of capacity. Whether you drive a gas car, an electric car, in my case is electric. So if if our battery is running low, right? And if I'm on 10%, right? And I'm downtown and you're in Calabasas, I'm like, I can't make it to Kenya on this 10%. I got to charge up. So do I even have the capacity right now to even deal with this?
What if the answer is no?
I will listen to understand in that moment, and I will let them get whatever they have to, get out, and we'll validate it and we'll hold that space for them and just say, I will definitely respond to this when I'm ready to.
Yeah. Half of my moments that I need to apologize for are because I responded when I shouldn't
You
have.
react instead of responded. Right.
Yeah.
Totally. You drove on that 10%.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Which is human, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Right. It's not, like I said, we're here in hindsight.
Yeah.
If my wife, when she watches this, she'll be like, I'm going to play that podcast with Kenya when you said, because in that moment I might just react. But I think that's probably a lot of a commonality, I think, when people are arguing. And I guess most of what I'm saying is from a relational standpoint. If it's a friendship or a coworker, it might be a little different. But just for everyone, for the relational standpoint, like, check in with yourself. Should I be taking this personal? Like, for example, I posted something on my Instagram not too long ago. It was, I was having like a wife appreciation day. It was like a random Tuesday or something. And so I went around the house and I put up these Post-it notes for my wife with like little messages that, are meaningful to me, to her, and to us. She got home. She was surprised. She loved it. And when I posted it, I guess a girl sent it to my wife and DM'd her, right? And said, wow, you're so lucky that, your husband does this. And like, I hope you appreciate it because it's hard out here, girl. I'm single and blah, blah, blah. And it's, beautiful intention that this stranger had. But my wife, unfortunately, in that moment, and she could have just had a bad day, she took it on as a personal attack, for lack of a better word. And she came to me and she's like, like, no one knows what I do for you. Like, I'm more the social media person than she is.
Yeah.
And I said, honey, I know how and why and when you love me. I don't need
outside validation.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter. This is about us. I only posted that because I need to create more content. It's on brand. I'm trying to inspire these guys out here who are borderline trash, etc. And I wanted people to see like our love. And I don't always when it was, my wife comes on the podcast, we are very stern about not portraying this couple's goals life. Like we are so raw, so vulnerable on the show whenever she comes on. Like people,
that's what I really liked about it.
Yeah, people message us like, I can't believe you said that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or whatever. So just context for everybody. But I said I posted that to try to hopefully give people hope and to inspire some people and then to help out these guys out here who need it. So I bring all that up because she took it in a personal way. But that was just her reaction. She's like, yeah, because I do. I'm like, I know you do. It's never in question.
Yeah.
But I think the first, reaction to people when they are faced with a problem or conflict or trigger is that reaction, that impulse reaction, and you take it personally. And then it's like, even if you're driving on 10%, you're going to run out. And then when you are running out in that argument, you're like, I shouldn't even have talked about it. I'm not even ready. And it's like, are you already in it now? You already said some stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here we go. So, and now if you walk away, it's like, oh, you're going to walk away. It's like, I should have walked away from the beginning. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Totally relate to that. So what good things has your healing journey led you to? With still talking about the situation with your mom.
Great questions, Kenya. God.
Thank you.
Ask it one more time. I want to make sure I heard it right. So
what good things has your healing journey led you to?
Wow. Okay. I could give so many answers. I'm gonna try to lump sum them all up right here.
Okay.
For the first time in my life, again, 36, I don't think I've ever been happier. Do I have the house that my wife and I want? No. Do we have, kids, which we want, I want more. We want our first together. No. Could work be better? Of course, always. Right. But all that being said, what's most important to me, do I have it now? 1000%. And I don't think I would have received half of it if I didn't do the work, if I didn't stick to the work. Good and bad days, ups and downs. And I think a large part of that answer is because for the first time ever, I'm in love, but not just with my wife. Like I'm in love with myself. I'm in love with my wife. I'm in love with our relationship. I'm in love with what we do and what we create and what we stand for. I'm in love with our life. I'm in love with who we have in our life. I'm able to give love and receive love. As I mentioned earlier, the receiving part was way harder than the giving part. And I'm there.
Yeah.
And it's all because of the work.
It's like aligned. Everything's aligned.
Yeah. And I had this exact moment. That's why I was laughing initially when you asked that question, because we were in our 2-bedroom condo and I was washing dishes, and we cooked, and there was way more dishes that I could fit into like the dry rack. And I'm like frustrated because I'm like, we need a bigger kitchen, you know? and I got done and I sat on the couch and I said to my wife, I was like, you know, I know what we want, you know, the kids in the house and all that. But I just want you to know, like, I'm so happy right now. Like, I'm so content in the best, not settling, but I'm so content and satisfied in the best way possible.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a typical person where I think we all are. We're always thinking about what we don't have. You know, it's a natural thing, right? And something could be better. But in that moment, I was present and I was like, I love everything that we have going. Like, if I could freeze this moment, like I want to freeze it.
It sounds like you found like peace.
I found peace. Yeah, exactly.
Someone told me, and it stayed with me and fucked with me a little bit too.
Yeah.
that the key to life isn't happiness, it's peace.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you could have the car, the house, like technically be happy,
right,
but not be at peace.
100%. Yeah, I should have said that. Yeah, I'm at peace. I'm in
peace.
Love. I'm at peace. Yeah, yin and yang. But and it feels amazing because you know, my reference point is, you know, I keep saying that word, but you guys know at this point how much it means to me.
Yeah.
Is I normalized my life without peace. So I'm used to chaos. In fact, when my wife and I were first dating, I would not cause problems intentionally, but subconsciously, that 90%, I would, because it was normal to me. The households I grew up in were wild. Yeah. Like, I saw my mom burn my dad's clothes in the front yard, like when I was 8, 7 years old. It was normal. Yeah. You know, like, I was just turned back on the cartoons, you know, like it was a day in the life. Yeah. I heard wild things, saw crazy things. And so when I'm in this peaceful state, I'm like, here's the effed up part, right? I'm in this peaceful state and there's still that adaptive child in me that's like, where's the chaos? Where's the crazy time? Like where's the moment that I can step in and do my job? And I'm like, we're good. And it's so hard to accept we're good. It's so hard to stay in I'm at peace. Yeah. Because you're not used to it. Yeah. And you're uncomfortable in a weird, messed up way. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's a good answer. Very relatable. You know, really thank you for sharing all of that. And
yeah, sure.
I clearly have related to it. For people who are listening, I've been mostly in tears the whole time. For people who are watching, yeah, I'm sure they see it.
But these are great. Yeah. I can't say enough great questions. Yeah. Like, good for you. This is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, I've done a lot of healing in my life, and so the parts that I'm healing from, sure. I love sharing about that, and some of the things that you touched on are things that are hitting home in a more raw way. Yeah. That are.
Can I ask what in particular? Okay. Moving on. Absolutely not.
The Great Wall of Kenya.
Okay. Here we go. All right. I was trying to climb over it. You got it. I just fell off.
But I think it's incredible. This moment that we're sharing, and I'm excited for the listeners to hear the pain and to hear the healing and to be inspired from both of it.
I'm excited too, and for those people who this is all resonating with, this all sounds fun in hindsight. This all sounds fun initially, right? Like the idea was fun, you know, heal, they said, right? It's like, but it's gonna be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life.
But when you come out the other side,
it's worth it. Just know it's worth it.
So now I want to talk about relationships.
Sure.
In particular,
that's all, you got it.
Romantic ones.
Yeah, sure.
This is a very hot topic. So what have the relationships that didn't work out taught you about yourself? Teach you about yourself?
Yeah, another amazing question. They taught me everything. They taught me the most. They taught me more than the ones that did work out well. Even if, you know, we're not together and they were good relationships. They were the hardest lessons, you know, and more specifically, my last relationship, that was the hardest lesson. It was the most toxic relationship I've ever been in. I saw sides of myself that make me cringe to this day, and I never want to, revisit. And I'm sure vice versa. But they just taught me whatever I was thinking was working is clearly not. They taught me it might not be them, it actually might be me. Who knew? And it taught me that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
It's okay to ask for help, whether it's with a professional or whether it's a loved one or both. And for the longest time, I used to, it's like, I hate my ex. I hated that relationship, and now I'm actually so grateful and so thankful for it. In fact, this sounds really shitty, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm also petty. So here we go. I say that my ex was grooming me to be a groom. So you're welcome.
Yeah.
Like she was grooming me to be a groom.
Yeah.
I had to work through my shit and all my bullshit in order to become a husband, in order to become the man that I knew I could be. And so, yeah, I was being groomed to be a groom. So my wife thanks her. I thank her. Yeah. She's all right now, but yeah.
That's funny. The point about asking for help, I think when we're not used to knowing what we need and then voicing what we need, it could feel like 1,000 pounds.
Or two different things.
Yeah.
Like in their own respective way. Like even knowing what we need is a whole journey and a whole process. Yes. Then asking for that, it's a whole, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's wild. They're both heavy.
Yeah. And so in my relationships or situationships or just any sort of,
ships.
Any ships, they've taught me really how to value myself and how to understand what I need.
Yeah.
So if I'm focusing on like what it taught me about myself, it was what I need.
Right.
How I value myself, how I communicate best.
Yeah.
And then once I understood all that, like level 2, being comfortable enough to explain that to somebody else,
to articulate that.
And sometimes I don't get to that point. Sometimes I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I say it and they don't respond how I was hoping, and I get to look at that too in the greater scheme of things.
Yeah, it makes me think too, and I'll add this to both of our answers. Since I was younger, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, we fantasize about what we want. It's got to be tall, dark, handsome, right? She's got to be fill in the blank, whatever it is. And in the relationships where the shit hits the fan, I at least am way more clear on what I don't want.
Yes.
That's more of a 10 commandment situation than like this cherry on top, situation. So I'm more open and flexible, and I can, be adapted to, what I want, but the hardcore, AKA boundaries of what I don't want, that's pretty concrete. Yeah. And you don't learn that if it's all, the yellow brick road. So
yeah. In terms of other people. Yeah. I learn definitely about what I don't want.
Yeah,
and I'm much quicker to get out of situations.
Exactly.
Because of that.
Exactly.
How have your past experiences with relationships that didn't work out influenced your approach to dating and love after that?
I don't know. Because I got so fortunate enough. I don't really believe in luck, but I got fortunate enough to meet my wife. And actually when I met my wife, I never forget, I basically was like, hey, I'm JD. Nice to meet you. I'm under construction. I promise you it'll be worth it though. I swear, like I have a true story. We were in Hawaii, a whole nother thing. But, and I basically, that's how it was. Yeah. When I asked her to be my girlfriend. And I was like, I'm under construction. Like I have a lot of shit to work through and work out and to heal from. But I promise you I'm worth it. And here I am married now, 3.5 years. So I don't know. I don't know another world of like taking this, again, we don't like to use healed, but more healed than I was, and had done way more work than I had done in the past. I don't know what it is to take that version of me out here and to see what it could be.
That's so interesting.
So I'm happy I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I don't have to find out. But actually I will say I still use it in ways when I consult with people and I coach people. I started the consultation business for anyone and everyone. My, I guess, initial plan was mainly for men, because that's like, again, normalizing vulnerability for them and to help them out and give them the tools that they need to be in a successful relationship. But who knew that women value the male perspective as much as they do? So if I had 100%, scale here, 80% of my clients are women. And so I am able to share a lot of the healed or more than I was version of me, and knowledgeable and self-aware and et cetera, F boy version of me. I am able to give that still back into the world.
Yeah.
And it's great. And as they always tell me, like, I'm so happy you were that F boy, because like now I get both sides.
Yeah.
I get the, past F boy and like the current self-aware man and the evolved man that I strive to have. So it's like, I'm like a cheat code.
Yeah.
Basically for these women. It is what it is.
I think the part that you said about, hi, I'm JT, I'm under construction.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is actually a green flag, is someone who's working on themselves and being willing to recognize their part in situations. Yeah. Which actually leads me to my next question is, how do you look at your part? Because you earlier talked about being in therapy, but not really doing the work. Sure. And to me, doing the work is inner reflection. Yeah. So how do you find your own inner reflection? How do you have the courage to do that? Because looking in the mirror is not easy.
Everything else didn't work.
Yeah. You kind of got to a point where I was like,
I waved the white flag. I was like, I don't have the answers, Sway. And like, I really, I need help. Like, I want what I want so badly because I deserve it and I'm worthy and so on and so forth. But like, the way I only know how to go about it, again, at adaptive child way, control, because I'm afraid to get hurt, right? Bouncer at the door at the club. Those mechanisms are no longer applicable here, but I don't have anything else. So I started from scratch, and yeah, it again, it worked out, but nothing else worked. So I was like, well, do something else.
Switch it up. You tried it and it worked.
Excuse me. Yeah. Switch it up.
Wow. How do you grow individually while you're in a relationship?
You came up with all these?
I did.
Oh my God. You're like Oprah. Oh, these are amazing questions. Mark, I hope you're taking notes, man. People don't know Mark. He's the man behind the camera right now. Blessed to be here with all these great questions. Okay, so that's a hard question to answer because it's different for everybody. Yeah. But I will just give my personal opinion.
I love that you said that. Yeah. I'm asking for your experience.
Yeah, sure. It's constant trial and error. Part of what my wife and I picked up on our journey together, early on, we took the approach of like, subconsciously, me versus you, you versus me. After that trial and error, we created it's not you versus me. It's me and you versus the problem. It's us versus the problem. That takes so much growth, so much trial and error, so much time. And as my wife says, rhythm and dance. She's like a salsa dancer. She's rhythm and dance. That's always her. She goes back to that. It takes time to find that dance. But also takes trust, because that you versus me is I don't trust you to fix this problem. Yeah. I trust me. Yeah. So therefore now it's me versus you versus the problem, right? Subconsciously adaptive child. The wise adult here today says it's us versus the problem, because 2 against 1 is always going to be an advantage. So, but to heal individually while you're with someone takes trust. It takes vulnerability. It takes a safe space for that partner to provide. Last week I had a rough week. Full transparency. I had a rough week mental health wise, and I was going through it. And my wife was out of town, and she came back, and I was still in my funk. And so now she's coming back, and I miss you, and I want to. And I'm like, I need space. She's like, I just got home. Like you've had space. Like I don't understand. Yeah. And I'm like, please don't take it personal. I have to like figure some stuff out. Adaptive child. Slept on it. The next morning, I apologized because I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to be me versus you versus the problem. I'm including you in my shitstorm right now. So here's your life vest. Here we go. We're on the boat. You know, I know you're going to be the best co-captain.
Yeah.
And I need your help. And I don't even need you to fix the problem. I just need you to understand.
Yeah.
You know, because understanding is also a form of solution. Who knew? Men don't, by the way. It took me a while to figure that out. And but that's part of it, right? It's part of like, yes, individually I'm going through it, but I'm not alone in my world.
Yeah.
You know, I have the best Robin Pippen of all time, like the GOAT.
Yeah.
You know, she is Jordan. Let me go back to I'm Pippen, right? So it's like we're here from Chicago. So we're here and we're going through the season.
Yeah.
You know, and we're doing it together. So yeah, but it's a great question because it's a friendly reminder actually for me.
Yeah. And it sounds like 2 willing people are necessary, which is actually a great segue for another question I wanted to ask you is, in your experience, the relationships that didn't work out, how did you know it was the right thing to end it versus now where it's the right thing to work through it?
To continue it.
Sorry.
Great question. How did I know to end it?
Versus knowing to keep going.
If I'm being honest, the first answer that comes to mind is just, you know, trust your intuition, trust your gut. But sometimes it doesn't really serve people. So I'm going to try to give you something else more tangible. When you are, okay, let's layman's term this. The song, I Can See Clearly Now the Rain Is Gone. Okay, let's bring it back to ABC style right here. I can see clearly now. I won't sing for people, but I can see clearly now the rain is gone. When you're in that fog and it's raining and you can't really see clearly and you got your fog lights on, your windshield wipers are going crazy and you got your hazards on, you're like going 10 miles per hour. It's hard to see. And eventually when you can get that glimmer of light and you're still driving, the windshield wipers turn off, you turn off your hazard lights, right? Your fog lights are off. Now we're like, I can see clearly. I can drive clearly now. In that moment, take advantage of it as an opportunity to say, I got to get the hell out of here. I can't go down that storm and path again. Yeah. Because it's crazy. It's toxic. I don't even like who I am in that. It's not complimenting me. It's complicating my life, right? Go back to that moment and understand, because you get those glimmers, whether it's your support team, whether it's a podcast that you heard, whether it's a video that you watched, whether it's you run into someone at work and you get that gem that you need in that moment, but then you're like, it's not me though. Let me go back in the storm, right? Take advantage of those signs, those opportunities to know like, this is how it should be. And it can get here and doesn't have to be with that person. I think a lot of that is just, people have a hard time between differentiating their boundaries with loyalty. If I'm saying yes to you, that probably means I'm saying no to me. What's more important? Saying yes to yourself. Yeah. And so many people are just too like blindly loyal. We've been together for 8 years. It's like, I respect that. But what happens if you continue down this road and it's 16 years now and you're even more miserable, and you're even more unhappy, and your traumas are building up even more in your triggers? Now what? Yeah. You're going to say, well, we've been together for 16 years. Cool. Now we're at 24. Yeah. And that kind of goes back to the 2 willing people. Yeah. 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 And, you know, I used to hate this saying too, like this is a lot of like rom-com stuff, but when they say, I love you so much, I have to let you go. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, what does that even mean? Yeah. I get it now. I sure do too. Because I can see we're not right for one another. And I love you so much that I'm going to let you go so that eventually, hopefully you can see it. Yeah. I get it now. That's happened to me with someone who they let me go. Yeah. Because I think in their heart of hearts, they knew they couldn't get out of whatever they were going through. Yeah. And they never did. So check this out. That reminds me, I'm going to send you this photo and Mark will have to edit it, right? Put it right here, Mark. It'll fit right here. There's a picture that I have saved where it's 2 hands, right? So if everyone, for the listeners, just visualize this. There's 2 hands. One is holding a rope and the hand is bleeding because it's holding onto the rope for so long. And the other one is a free hand, just healthy hand. Holding on to something oftentimes hurts worse than letting go. Put that right here, Mark. It'll look really good. Yeah, I think you hit so many analogies just now, and they were all incredible. I talk in analogies. That's how I like my mind. My brain works. That works for me. Yeah.
So let's end on a note of self-discovery. What are you most thankful for in your journey of self-discovery?
Wow.
Because you've done the work. Like, it's clear.
Yeah. I think not giving up and giving in. The giving up is the obvious answer, but the not giving in, meaning giving in to that adaptive child, giving into that excuse of like, well, my parents were effed up, so I'm effed up, and it is what it is. We'll all be effed up.
Yeah.
That repeating and not repairing, because the reward again that you get from, and the satisfaction and the accomplishment feeling of seeing something through in any realm, in any spectrum, but let alone like the work, the healing and all that, is almost indescribable. It's priceless. It's my most prized possession, if you will.
Yeah.
It's a badge of honor. It's like my biggest trophy in the trophy room, right? It's everything. And I think just to know that you can do it. You know, because when you're facing that Mount Everest at first, it seems insurmountable. You're like, how the hell am I going to get from here to there?
Yeah.
And of course, we want it to be overnight. Of course, I'll give it 6 months. It's like,
it's gonna take I'm
36. Imagine me saying, I'll give it 6 months. My whole life trauma. Let me give it 6 months. It takes time.
Yeah.
But it's just all worth it.
Yeah.
It's all worth it. Does that answer your question?
That really does.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The journey through hard times and relationships is a difficult one, and it's a painful one.
Yeah.
But it can lead to some really tremendous growth and healing.
Because it's about the journey.
Yeah.
Right? And that's something I had a hard time understanding. Kobe talked about that a lot. And how we're so fixated on the destination. You know, people can be, in his case, so fixated on championships. But it's those memories of the regular season. Yeah. It's those memories of the time during the process, during the journey that you're always going to cherish and you're always going to remember. Because the destination will come and go. And by the way, usually for us, if you're ambitious, it's a moving target. So you might not ever hit the quote unquote destination. Yeah. But it's about that journey and that process. And the beauty of all that is it's in your control. Yeah. You have a choice to enjoy that journey, enjoy that process. Hence me washing the dishes and realizing we need a bigger kitchen, sitting down and being like, but I love our life. Yeah. You know, destination is the house, so I get more room for these dishes. But right now, the journey, I love our life. You know, I'm at peace. Yeah. Yeah. Your personal experiences and overcoming the things that you've overcome. And just emerging out stronger has been so inspiring for me. Thank you. I know the listeners too are going to feel that way. Thank you. And I hope that people listening, when they approach their own relationship struggles, they do it with patience and with understanding, and a willingness to learn and grow. Yeah. Can I add to that? Make sure you find the direction more so than the speed. You know, direction is more important than speed. Like when I was on February 2017, I'm like, all gas, no brakes. You know, like I want to be healed. I got 6 months, you know, and so I'm like, gas. And I realized I was like driving down the wrong street for a long time. So now I got to U-turn, reroute, and
another
go
6 months
all back. Now I'm 12 months behind. Right? Yeah. And if I only had more of the direction, we'll figure out the speed later. Some speed zones are 30 miles per hour. Some are 65. If you're in Germany, it's endless, right? But it's a directional priority first and almost last. Yeah. Figure that out first. So what that looks like is like, where do I begin? In my case, all these X's, if I sat them down at this checkered round table and I said, have at it, just roast JD. You got it. Just roast JD right here. Have at it. They would all have the same negative things to say about me. What does that say about me? I'm the common denominator. Yeah. Great. So here's my 8 things. 8's my favorite number. Here's my 8 things right here that I need to fix. Right? Yeah. Direction. Which one have I heard the most from these women? Okay, it's these top 2. Great. Let's start here. What does that even look like? Yeah. Well, you're very stubborn, JD. Okay. Well, everyone's stubborn. So what does that even mean? Yeah. Yeah, but it's like you're where the highway all the time. why the hell is it always you're right. Because in my mom is actually, and my dad, it's their way or the highway. Where does that stem from? Oh, they have a control bone in their body that takes over everything. Where does that come from? Oh, because they couldn't trust people growing up. I couldn't trust people growing up. That's why I always had to be in control.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's always going to be my way or the highway. And that's why I'm stubborn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, cool, 1 done, 7 left. Find the direction and then hit the speed when it's necessary and figure out how fast to go. But it's that where the hell do we even start moment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing everything
another
today.
Analogy.
Yeah. Before we end, where can people find you? What do you have got going on?
Yeah. Instagram that's probably the best way. Mr. Just Davis. I'm editing currently because I didn't make Mark until right now. I'm editing my season 3 as we speak for Who Can Relate. It should be coming out here in a couple of weeks. This season I switched it up. It's just going to be my wife and I for the first part, and the second part is going to be my wife and I plus a guest.
Nice.
I'm going to do it like Netflix style. I've never seen a podcast do this, but I'm going to release them all at the same day at the same time. Algorithm's probably going to be pissed. It might not go well, but I think I'm just going to try it out.
The algorithm is a hater.
And I believe in binging,
mm-hmm.
Especially with what we're talking about. Like if you're in it and you're going through it and you just went through a breakup,
you want to hear more.
You are like next episode,
yeah.
Right? You're like the whole day is gone by. So I want to give people that option. So that'll be coming out soon in a couple of weeks. Again, I am a relationship and a dating coach. That link is in my bio on Instagram. And I think that's it. But I want to just like, if we can end, obviously this is your show. No, but I don't want to let a moment go by before I give you your flowers.
Oh.
I think it's so admirable to do what you do. And I think it's so inspiring for what the intention is. Like the word no can ruin people's lives. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a relationship or a job or family or friends, it can ruin their life. You took that negative component of that word and flipped it. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's the middle finger flip, but mm-hmm. you flipped it and you made it into this beautiful space, and you allow people to take that rejection and now turn into a redirection and say, I'm so thankful that I was told no. I'm so grateful that didn't work out, because now I'm here today, and I can't even imagine if I was back when. Mm-hmm. Right? So for you to it takes nothing to come up with an idea. Yeah. It takes everything to see that idea through. And here you are, like, this is your show. Like, this is your avatar winking. Like, this is beautiful.
Thank you.
Like, I'm proud. I don't even know you, but I'm so proud of you. And I'm so happy for you, because it's going to be so helpful for so many people. That like, really it's part of the reason why I said yes to your podcast and saying no, because I'm like, that's a dope name.
Thank you.
And when we met, we had a pre-call. I was like, hell yeah. I'm honored to be a part of it. Yeah. So I'm happy for you. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. That really means so much. It's been incredible with you here today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And everybody, real quick before we end, if you like the Thank You for Saying No podcast, you should also check out a podcast called Rawkwardness. That's RAWKWARD-ness. The Rawkwardness podcast is about the process of artists finding themselves as musicians, as songwriters, and how that relates to finding themselves as adult humans as well. It's about beginnings. It's about the vulnerability of trying at something creative and something failing before you succeed, and maybe even redefining what success looks like. Everyone starts somewhere, even the people at the top. Rawkwardness explores those stories about what got them started and what kept them going and growing as artists. And please don't forget to follow and subscribe to Thank You for Saying No on Instagram at Thank You for Saying No. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Leave us a comment, leave a review, submit your stories, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Follow and subscribe to the Thank You for Saying No podcast, and you'll get every episode as soon as it's released.